Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are on again. Let me just set the time. Just 1 second, I'm coming. Yeah, so Assalamu alaikum once again. Let me set the time because it's important our video is not too long. Okay, so the last time we were looking at Euler parts, Euler circuits, Hamiltonian parts, Hamiltonian circuits. Then now that was 10.4, 10.5. Now we go to, now we go to 10.7. Actually, here I should have said text, just one correction here I should say, but anyway, fine, you understand. It's 10.4, 10.5. This was done, It's supposed to be 10.5, 10.7, and 17.1. Because 10.4 you did, okay? Anyway, so straight away we go to section 10.7, which talks about what we call planar graphs. Anyway, a planar graph is just talking about, you see, when you draw graphs, you may have edges crossing. You may have edges crossing at vertices or no, like this graph here, you see? Many of the graphs you've seen, look at this. They are crossing at a vertex. In other cases, they do cross, but maybe not at vertices. When you look at this is crossing at no vertex. If you look at previous graphs, let's see whether we have other graphs where they cross. No? For these ones, we don't have. Yeah, here they cross at a vertex. Anyway, so a graph, planar graph is basically a graph that you can draw on the xy plane without any crossing except at a vertex. Okay, the definition says, okay, a nice way, I normally give you a background, which just says that this is now the geometric connection of graph theory, combinatorics, which is graph theory, discrete mathematics, and geometry. Because in geometry, you draw things, you plot graphs. Remember, graph theory for combinatoric. Then in geometry, you can draw graphs in the xy plane. So if you can draw a graph such that it only crosses or intersects at a point, which is called a vertex, then that graph will be called planar. A graph G is planar if it can be drawn in the plane without any edges crossing except at an edge. So, example number 1 is K for planar. Or planar. Well, here you can see it's crossing, but we can remove this crossing. How can we do that? Well, if we take C outside here, for example, then we can send this vertex, we'll have C is connected to B and to A, and then where is the crossing now? From D to B, is that a nice way of doing it, or we just, no, very simple. Just take this vertex, this edge, like this, round. Then there will be no crossing. Well, that's one way of doing it. The other way of doing this is to put it even more elegant like this. You put C at the center. Actually, that's, okay. This is a nice thing for you to think about. I'm sorry I'm not able to write, but let me just say the following. You see, what's going to happen is that if you take this edge outside like this, then there's no crossing anymore. So now the graph, you can regraph it nicely so that now you'll have A, B, D as the outer vertices, and then C will be inside. That's why you have this graph. C is in the middle, then A, B, and D, because we took this one outside, and then we have this nice graph, which is planar. That's the first example. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. Next is example 2, says, is Q3 planar? Now, what is Q3? Well, Q3 is actually the cube. I tried to draw it nicely like this here and there, but anyway, this is what I have. I think you understand. Q3 is a cube. Now, this cube is basically has the vertices 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then the connections are there, as you can see. So the question is this graph planar? Well, as it is, you can see there's a crossing here, which is not a vertex. And there's another crossing here, which is not a vertex. So, what do we do? Well, actually, what I did, one way of doing it is actually to remove the crossing. Since if you remove like we did previously, you can remove this crossing by doing what? If you take this vertex outside, somewhere like here, you know what happens? You'll have 2 to 7 will go like this. So we have removed this crossing. And then you need to connect 7 to whatever it was connected to. So 7 was connected to 6. You remove this one and put it here to 7. Then 7 was connected to 8. So you connect 8 like this. Anything else we have remaining? I think we are done because we've removed this crossing. We have it there. That's 1. And then we've drawn 7 and 6 here. And we've drawn 7 and 8 there. So the graph that results is the following. This is exactly what we've done. We had 7 here. And then 7 was connected to 2. So this is a vertex. There's nothing wrong with the vertices being curved. Edges being curved. And then we connected 7 to 6. This is it. And then 7 to 8, this is it. And this graph is now planar. Of course, now this graph, you can redraw it nicely like we did for this graph. You see? What do? You look at the outer vertices and then connect. So if you look at the outer vertices, what do you have? The outer vertices are going to be 1, 2, 7, and 8. And then the inner vertices are 3, 4, 5, 6. So now you can redraw it. In fact, it's like, you redraw it. When you redraw this graph, so this is what you have. 1, 2, 7, 8. These are the outer ones. 1, 2, 7, 8. And then the inner ones are the remaining, which are 3, 4, 5, 6. So this graph is actually the same graph here. And then previously, last week, you looked at what we call graph isomorphism. So I can give you a graph that looks like this, and I ask you to determine whether this graph is isomorphic to this graph. So a nice way of thinking about it was that idea of adjacency being preserved. So obviously, if you are looking at 1, 2, 7, 8, you can connect them already, right? You have 1, 2, 7, 8, that's a cube, it's connected. The next, you look at the adjacency. The inner ones would go accordingly. So what happens? You would have 1 going to 4. So you would have 1 going to 4. Then you would have 2 going to 3. Well, 2 going to 3. And then you would have obviously 3 going to 4. 3 going to 4. And then you would have this. You would have 5 would just be there. And then 6, and then you connect. So very nice, very elegant, very beautiful, guys. Very nice, right? Okay, let's look at so this is the explanation. What I have done, I've given you a story here which says Q3 is in the form of a cube. Slide 14. Okay, page 14. Is it page 14? Well, this one, yeah, this page 14. And then now there are 2 crossings with no vertices. We say there are 2 crossings, yeah? If we move vertex 7 out of the, as shown in the slide 15, then we remove the 2 crossings or intersections, and hence the graph is planar. The graph can be nicely represented as in page 16. The way to do it is to take the outer vertices and then the inner vertices. That's all, ladies and gentlemen. Right. I want to make sure that this fits in any way. So let me see whether there's anything else I need to say here. No, I mean, you have questions, you will ask. I'll check and see if there's anything else I should say. But that's it for that example. So we go to Euler's formula. Let me see how much is remaining so that I don't run out of time. Wow. Okay, fine. Let's make sure it fits, because I have to make sure my video is not too long. So in the section 10.72 gives you the criteria for planarity. It's not so straightforward. Eh? So let G be a connected planar simple graph with E number of edges and V number of vertices. Let R be the number of regions. Regions are actually faces. Okay, in a plane, when they are crossing, you have faces or regions. In a planar representation of G, then R, the number of regions, equals the number of edges minus the number of vertices plus 2. Let's look at an example. Suppose that a connected planar simple graph has 20 vertices, each of degree 3. Into how many regions does a representation of this planar graph split the plane? So how many faces when you draw it, okay? Basically, we're looking for R, and R is given by this formula. What do you have? You have 20 vertices, each of degree 3. So that means the sum of the degrees of the vertices is 20 times 3, which is 60. And then now you have that formula you did a while back about, I think it was theorem 10.1 or 10.2. That gives you twice the number of edges, gives you the total degrees of the vertices. So theorem 1 of section 10.1 or 10.2. So this means that 2e, the number of edges, equals 60. Implying E, which we are looking for this formula, is 30. Well, this 60 comes from this, and then 2e is the formula for section 10.2. Therefore, R will be given by E minus V plus 2, which is 30 minus 20, 30 minus 20, plus 2, which is 12. So the number of regions the graph splits in the plane is 12. That's it. Okay, lastly, on discrete mathematics, we do have corollary 1. What does it say? Let me see. Well, that's a tutorial problem. So, it says that if G is a connected planar simple graph with E edges and V vertices, then the number of vertices, and if the vertices is greater than or equal to 3, then E is less or equal to 3v minus 6. This is to tell whether a graph G is planar. If this is not satisfied, the graph is not planar. That's one criteria, the last one we're finishing with. And then, if G is a connected planar simple graph, then G has a vertex of degree not exceeding 5. Last example, and then we look at one tutorial problem, is show that K5 is non-planar. Well, K5, if you remember K5 from last week is basically a pentagon, but it's a complete graph. So it's a pentagon, and then every vertex is connected. Every vertex is of degree 4. So V has 5 vertices, is a pentagon. So the number of edges, if you count, will be 10, okay, of that complete graph. So 3V, now we're just applying this. 3V minus 6 is 3 times 5, which is 15 minus 6 is 9. So 3V minus 6 is 9, and E is 10. So E is greater than 10 is greater than 9, which is just basically E is not less than this. So this graph doesn't satisfy this criteria. Therefore, this graph is non-planar. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of the lecture. However, I thought of picking one tutorial problem for these crossings, and anyway, I'll give you more problems as we continue. You will ask, okay? So this says is this, in a sense, this is asking if this graph is planar. Draw this graph and determine whether it's planar. Okay? So what do you see, ladies and gentlemen, like we did previously? You do see that there are crossings here, here, and here. So what do you do? Well, one simple way, which now is what I want to describe so that I make sure my video ends very quickly, is I took, I maintain 1, you maintain 1, 5, 4, and 3. Okay, 1, 5, 4, and 3, and then you take 2 outside. Okay, these 2, if I take it outside, I can see this, I will take it like that. And I'll take it somewhere here. So, in my graph, what I have is the same vertices, 1, 5, 4, 3, but then 2, I pull it out. 2 was here, I push it, so that I can go around. For the vertex 5 to 2, I connect like this. You see, 2 was connected to 4 also, there was a crossing. Now, there's no crossing because you just go from 2 to 4. And then what else is remaining? Everything else is connected as it was. Right? So you have, then the rest are maintained because you had 1, 5, you had 1, 4, 1, 5, 1, 4, that's okay. But now you remove this crossing and you've removed this crossing. How about 4, 2? 4, 2 we've removed. How many crossings did we have? And then 5, and this one has also gone away. Is it? 5, 3. And then for 5 and 3, we take it round. We take this one, instead of cutting across like this, we take it round like this. If you do that, this is the graph you end up with. Which now you can write it nicely. You can just now look at the outer vertices. It will be 2, 5, and 3. So, 2, 5, 4 also, wait a minute. Is 4 an outer vertex? What happened here? This is what I claim, that this graph is equivalent to this. Anyway, I would like to stop there. Maybe I'll say something about this, but I am done. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions, of course, you can ask. Now I want to end there. Have a nice day or whatever time you watch this video. Okay?